The Winthrop Charter designates 2 times of the year to hold forums, one in the spring, which revolves around finance, and one in the fall, which revolves around service, delivery of service. We are incredibly fortunate to have all our department heads here, along with our town manager, who I'd like to introduce. Tony, again, has been here for a couple of years, has done an unbelievable job, but I'm sure he'd be the first to say that he couldn't have done any of it without all of you here and everyone else that works for the town. I mean, you know, we stand up here, tell everybody what's going on, but it's you guys and the people that work with you guys that make this town what it is. So I want to introduce Tony, who will take over. This will be a relatively short presentation. I think Phil's speaking tonight, so it might be a little longer than anticipated, but but other than that, again, Tony Marino. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. It's my honor to be here. I think this is my 3rd fall forum now, so I'm looking forward to presenting it and also introducing the departments. I do have one quick slide. Just as the bat in order tonight, I'll kick it off just with some updates on what's going on, some of the hot topics in town. Next up will be our Council on Aging, and then Library, and then Phil, as was mentioned, wrapping it up. Thank you. So next slide. Thanks, Larissa. Just the hot topics that we've been talking about that's sort of been consuming my office with Larissa as well. The school override. I had the honor of doing a show with the council president, school superintendent, John Macero last week, talking about some of the questions around the school override, the dollar value, why it's needed, education stabilization fund, all the important information. That's available on YouTube, as are several other videos that the school's done. The virtual meeting that the council president referred to earlier in the meeting, that's starting, I think, tomorrow night. So keep an eye out for that. The information's out there if you want it. Certainly, it's an important vote that's happening on November 5th, so we're looking forward to that. Fire station survey, we've had over 1,000 responses so far. It does close at the end of the week, so please, if you haven't voted, please vote. It's on the website. There's information in my office, so please take the opportunity to vote and have your voice heard on your preferred location for the fire station, either on Pauline Street at the old middle school site or on Walden Street where the basketball courts are. MBTA 3A compliance, as the council president talked about during our prior meeting, the planning board is currently on the original MBTA 3A compliance with the overlay districts that the planning board has been working on. They did send that off to the state, the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities, the EOHLC, and they are reviewing it. We anticipate that they should be done this week. I did have a call into Chris Kluckman at that office today. I spoke with her. She's going to check with her staff and hopes to get me an answer by tomorrow morning, hopefully. And then once the review's back, the planning board will then schedule their hearing, answer any questions on it, and they anticipate making their vote in recommendation to the council. Also, the planning board, as the council president talked about earlier, they're having a public hearing on the citizens petition that came in on October 23rd to change the zoning bylaws. Basically, this will just force any sort of MBTA plan or anything that comes forward regarding the MBTA would have to go to a ballot vote. After that hearing is done, they'll vote their recommendation that night to the council. The council is then required to have a public hearing on it, which they are scheduling and have advertised for October 29th. After that, the council will have to have one more meeting to vote on the petition, and that will happen more than likely the week after that, but we still haven't finalized that date yet. Other stuff that's going on, we've talked about all the environmental issues around town with regard to flooding at Morton and Banks, the stormwater issues in Tyleston and Girdlestone, all over, Pico Ave, Fisherman's Bend. We're working on all those issues. We've certainly many meetings with the new Climate Commission and with the residents, so more to follow on that, and also the beach management plan that was put up on the website today for Euro Beach. There is some stuff we'll be getting going on that. Have a meeting with the neighbors. As I stated earlier, we're not going to be able to have it on Saturday the 19th, but we will have a date shortly. I'm just confirming access to the Point Shirley Association meeting house there. So, and like the council president said, I am always honored and proud to be your town manager, but again, nothing that gets done without the town department heads. It was, as I stated before, it's one of the things that attracted me to Winthrop, being a great community, but also having great department heads who are hardworking, diligent, care about the community, and really put their best foot forward. We're going to highlight 3 of those departments tonight, but I mean, I can't do it with any. All the departments are equally important, and we get to highlight 2 or 3 a year, and we'll do a few new ones next year. But I am thankful for their hard work, thankful to be able to work with them. And with that, I will pass it off to our first presenter tonight. This is the Council on Aging. We had a long-term employee retire, Kathy Dixon, and we quickly knew we had a replacement in-house. Matt Rhodes was selected to be the new Council on Aging Director. We're happy to have Matt on board. He's already doing a great job, and he's working on putting the job description out to hire his new assistant. So without further ado, I will introduce Matt to give his presentation. Let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you. So Council on Aging, our mission here is to encourage and promote independence of seniors in the community, enhance quality of life. And we do this through programming, if you want to go to the next slide. So we offer a bunch of different classes, things, fitness programming, foreign language, art. We have different parties, social events, things like that. We also offer a bunch of different services, including medical screenings, blood pressures. We have a podiatrist who comes in. Again, basically everything is focused on, socialization or some sort of service to help people with whatever they need, health insurance, counseling, things like that. Can't see the slide from there, so I'm going to go this way a little bit. So in the last year, we have a software that we use to track participation here at the Senior Center. In the last year, we've registered about 15,000 visits into this building. We also provide lunch in a form of a grab-and-go meal. And so in that case, there's 4 different meal options every day that seniors can choose from. And we've given out about 4,000 of those in the past year. We also offer a dine-in lunch on Thursdays, and again, same type of meal options. It's a little less attended than the grab-and-go, but Meals on Wheels is very integral to getting food to homebound residents. That has provided over 40,000 meal deliveries to seniors in the past year. Our van transportation program, so we have a van that runs 4 days a week. We take seniors to appointments, grocery shopping. It goes far. It's not just a local thing. We've taken folks out to Reading and Stoneham as well, but we've provided a few thousand rides in the past year there. And then on the fun side of things, day trips, overnight trips, and about 500, 600 people have attended those. And hit the next slide, I think. So going forward, we're still looking to grow the van transportation. In the last year, we've more or less doubled the rides, and most of that has been thanks to a grant from the Winthrop Foundation, which has provided free rides in town, so there's no charge for anyone. And that's really helped us to grow the ridership there, but we want to do more because having reliable transportation to get to a doctor's appointment or to get groceries is very, very important. Want to also look to grow some of our outreach programming. On the volunteer side, we have a friendly visitor program which has volunteers visiting people at home. So we're trying to combat isolation. These things, they're not like providing any services, but it's more of a visit. They might play a game, check in with people. And then the medical escort program, which people get rides to and from an appointment that they might not otherwise get to. So again, it's really just about making sure that someone doesn't have to miss an appointment because they don't have transportation there. We're also looking to continue working with the police department and Suffolk County DA's office to deliver fraud and scam awareness programming. Excuse me. The police are actually coming back next week to start their senior police partnership meetings. And the Suffolk County's DA's office will be here in December to do fraud prevention. And again, there's so many scams, so many fraud attempts out there. It's just important to make sure that we're doing what we can. And lastly, we want to work on adding some intergenerational programming into our schedule. This might be more, things that seniors can bring their grandkids to, but it might also, maybe working with the schools to have the chess club come over and play chess after school with the seniors. And that's more or less, I think, what I got.
All right, thank you, Matt. Next up, we have Greg McClay, from the Public Library, the library director. Oh, sure. Hold on, Matt. Don't go anywhere. Yeah, do you have any questions, Suzanne?
Yeah, I do.
Sure.
Thank you so much for taking on this project and this work, because I think it's vitally important to us.
That's not
I
good.
wonder
Sorry.
if you have any data that will give you some projection on aging, of those who are aging as we go forward, so that you have some idea of the constituents that you probably will be serving in the next 5 years.
Yeah, so... Hey, you want me to just move over this mic? So right now, I know in the last couple of years, the last of the baby boomer generation have turned 60, so that's a very large cohort. I don't have exact numbers for you. I could certainly get them if you want them. But yeah, it's a very, there's a lot of people getting into what's considered a senior range. And so there's going to be a lot more people looking for both, again, programming, fitness things, but services and help, as they enter retirement and later stages of their lives.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that we can get some grant money for that too. So, because I particularly in Winthrop, as we move into different kinds of housing, and we're thinking about this, but I find the data lacking to really help us determine what kind of services we need in the future. Secondly, I know that the high school has a volunteer program. They require volunteer hours for kids. And I think you could make a compelling case, and I think the kids might, really love it. And so if I can help in any way, let me know.
Appreciate that,
I'm
we do have a couple
old.
kids who come over from the high school right now.
Great.
So they do, every year we get a couple that'll come over and look to do things, and we do try to put them to work where we can. So, but definitely open to
Yeah,
that,
maybe
doing some-
making a formal presentation, having some of your folks go to the high school and tell them how much they're needed, because they're pretty good at it. actually.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else with questions for Matt?
I just thought of it as Suzanne was speaking.
Sure. You're on the hot seat, Matt. Hold on.
No. Oh, I don't need that.
Well, there's those people that don't get you.
Oh, okay. So I am a senior, but I've never gone to any of the senior center activities, only because I don't want to be a senior. So I mean, I am. I'm not denying it, but but are there, on a serious note, are there things that would make the senior center more vibrant? I'm not saying that,
yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and I
So
think...
really cool speakers or something, you know what I mean? I mean, something that I would like to go to.
And I think that might be something we want to look at too, is putting out a survey to see what we don't have that people would be interested in, because I
Yeah.
think that's the best way to get new people in and to
Yeah.
find out why they're not coming already.
I mean, I'm 70. I've never gone to an activity here.
You should come down.
So that's just,
Yeah, definitely.
because I'm I don't be luckily, but I would love to come to some activity here.
All right. We can talk, if you have something in mind that you are interested in, definitely let me know.
Something
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Anybody else? No? All right. All right, now I'm going to pass it off to Greg McClay at the library. Lots of follow-up questions, so get ready.
You don't have to fake it.
We love you, Greg.
Yeah. Okay. My name is Greg McClay. I'm the library director of the Winthrop Public Library and Museum. Our central mission statement is to supply the information and education needs of the community. That takes a lot of different roles, and I could spend a lot of time that you don't want me to up here talking about all of that. So what I want to do is focus on just two different things. One specifically, we just submitted our financial report to the state. And there are certain requirements that we have to fulfill with the state in order to have the sharing that we do with all the other libraries. And one of those is that we spend 15% of our budget towards library materials. Now, when that first started back in the 90s, library materials were books, videos, and audio. But over the past 10 or 15 years, that has expanded quite a bit to include e-content like e-books and e-audiobooks, databases, museum passes, and even computers available for public use. So what this first graph on the left-hand side just sort of gives a general breakdown of how that plays out. But more specifically, the graph on the right breaks down what is print versus what is digital. And you'll see that the gap really isn't that big. And I expect that over the next few years that will actually swap so that we're spending more on digital than we are on print. That doesn't mean print's going away. It just means that there are more materials available online to us. And this next slide will highlight that. Basically, Libby is the app that everyone uses for our Overdrive product. It's how people access our ebooks and our e-audiobooks. And for the circulation for the library, that makes up about 30% of our circulation. The graph on the right-hand side shows volume, and that's for the entire Noble network, North of Boston Library Exchange. There's over 2.5 million print volumes in the Noble network. There's only 160,000 digital volumes. That's 7% of the collection. That makes up 30% of our circulation. So there's a definite trend towards online information, towards things like Libby. And even that said, it's still a weekly conversation we have with patrons that Libby is available, that e-content is available. So our goal for the coming years is going to be Libby, Libby, Libby. If you get tired of us hearing us saying it, we're probably still not saying it enough. There are many patrons who don't know that we have audiobooks you can simply download and listen to in your vehicle, or ebooks that you can access anywhere in the country when you're on vacation. So this is a continuing conversation that is going to be our primary goal for the library. Now, there are other products, next slide please, that we've added over the past couple of years. They're probably not used as well, and we'll be working on promoting those as well. One example is the O'Reilly database. It's actually a collection of about 90,000 books and videos and tutorials. They're focused on business and technology. The reason it's a database instead of just general ebooks is that you can't check them out. You can't take them with you. You can simply log into them on your computer, but what they've done is create courses to either create or enhance business or IT skills. This includes anything from project managers to Python developers, data analysts to cybersecurity. So it's a very expansive database that we want to promote more in the community. If you know people who are in these fields, who are looking to go into these fields, students in high school, college students, this is an excellent resource for them to take advantage of, or to at least experience or experiment with possible career choices. Next slide, please. This last one we just added in June. This is our first experimentation into checking out videos. Canopy is an app that you can actually download to like your Roku or your Fire Stick, but you sign up with your library card and you set up an account, and there's over 3,000 titles there that you can choose and select, create a watch list. And over the coming years, we'll be expanding that title list and making that available to the public. On the lighter side, we do have a lot of adult programming going on this fall. I won't talk too much any about children's because they're always jam-packed, so I want to get some of our adults out into our programs. We now have 3 very active book groups, one for nonfiction, one for mysteries, and the always popular authors literary club, which we adopted, which covers a little bit of everything. Starting next week, we'll be starting a series of programs at the Lyceum Room. Next slide, please. The first one will be the Delvina Theater performing Bon Voyage Forever, followed by the return of Ted Reinstein to discuss his new book, Travels Through the Heart and Soul of New England, and then an American history program called Popular Music and Veterans, and finally the return of another favorite author, Stephen Puleo, in his new book on Charles Sumner called The Great Abolitionist. Next slide. A new program we're going to be experimenting with called Makerspaces. I'm sure most of you have heard of it in some form or another. This is simply a temporary program we'll be hosting in the upstairs Bergman Room that our young adult librarian will be handling. It's basically an opportunity to access creative tools that aren't normally available or that you're not normally going to invest in for your own home. We are looking to create a permanent spot for this in time, but for now we're going to do this on a trial basis. The dates start in November, and all that information will be available on our website. Okay, that is Mary Lou. Since I had this opportunity to speak, I just wanted to say in closing a thank you to our assistant director who does all of our adult programming. And since she's retiring at the end of the year, I thought I'd say a thank you. And if you happen to be at the library, just say hi to her and let her know how much we appreciate her. That's it.
All right, any questions for Greg? Oh, Suzanne has one, hold on. Exactly. I should just leave a permanent mic over here, hold on.
Greg, this is terrific and so informative, and I bet you that we haven't done enough in town council or anyplace else to promote all the work that you all do, and it's so important. And so, I bet you that that the center, the senior center, would love to be engaged more too with you, and I'm sure you do the work with them, but even more would be important. And if I can do anything to help where I live, or other people that live in condominiums, or perhaps can spread the word for you, just let me know. I'd be glad to assist. Thank you so much for your work.
Thank you.
Oh, here we go.
Greg, as you well know, since I'm there all the time, I take advantage of quite a few of the programs. But there are a lot of things you mentioned that I wasn't aware of. Perhaps we should have a session where you teach us how to use some of this new technology.
It's in the works.
All right, anybody else? No? All right, thanks, Greg. And without further ado, last but certainly not least, Phil Ronan, our Veterans Agent, our VSO, Veteran Service Officer, to give his presentation.
Thank you. You're welcome. First off, I'd like to thank Larissa for putting together this for me. That's something I could never do. So the Winthrop Veteran Service, what we do is, my main job primarily is Chapter 115. And Chapter 115 is for needy veterans. The income levels to qualify for that program, it's a stipend, 75% from the state, 25% from the town. You have to, as a single veteran, live on less than, and you're going to be stunned when you hear this, $12,000, and as a married veteran, it's $20,000. Need I say any more that we don't do enough for our veterans, and this state does more than most. So when you think about those figures, just think about how lucky you all are. I assist with the VA healthcare. I get men and women enrolled in the healthcare system, and the VA healthcare is tremendous. I can't say enough about it. They were the people that discovered the cancer that I had, and I'm cured. So I can tell you what went on in the VA years ago, it's dramatically different now. And I tell everybody, if you're a veteran, utilize that healthcare system. Help veterans navigate and submit compensation claims and applications. In other words, if a veteran was hurt during their service, during their time in service, I help them submit a claim so they can try to get compensation for those injuries. My belief is if you go in as a young person and you're 100%, nothing wrong with you, and you come out and there's something wrong, then the government owns that, and they should pay you and compensate you for that. I also work with veterans trying to help them acquire housing, seek employment opportunities, food insecurity, and provide community outreach. Outreach, what I do is I have multiple veterans that are shut in. I go and visit them a little bit more than on a monthly basis. A couple of blind veterans, some veterans up at Park, some veterans sprinkled throughout the town. It may mean going over, having a cup of coffee, playing a game of cards, watching TV, just spending time with them. They're generally widowers, and you know, they're lonely and they want, you know, some companionship, and you know, we have a lot in common, and it's a nice way to spend part of your working day, really. And crisis intervention, I have been called on a few times since I've been in this job for a couple of years. I work directly with the police department, and sometimes the fire department is on hand also. If we have, and it's been predominantly young veterans, they threaten to harm themselves or a family member, I go with the police, and sometimes a lot of those guys I know, so it's to them it's a little bit more palatable because they have a veteran there, and rather than just seeing law enforcement. And the other part of that is I'm attached, and this is a brilliant idea by Tony, I'm attached to Meredith Hurley's health department, and when I have people come in downstairs into my office, and you know, as a parent and having adult children, of course I know how to talk to people, but there's some certain aspects that I don't know enough of, you know, mental health and some of these other things, and it's wonderful to just be able to say, hey Mike, let's go upstairs, I want you to meet somebody. And then there's Meredith, or there's Jane, or we have alcohol and drug people, we have just a whole staff up there. So it's really, it's really helpful because it covers up for an area that it's not my area of expertise anyway. You know, these are just some accomplishments that, you know, I did in the couple of years that I've been in. You know, the flagpole down at the baseball field, in God's name, it's Veterans Field. I don't know why we never had a flagpole down there, but we have a flagpole there now. The street dedications are more about the people. You know, we're lucky, a small town like this with 18,000 people, we've got a tremendous history of service to the country by a lot of our citizens. And what I try to do is I try to go out and determine by looking through records that I have in my office to determine people that are worthy. And obviously, Captain Donald Sullivan, Hamburger Hill, first officer at the top of the hill. It was a horrific battle. Silver Star, Bronze Star, Purple Heart, Vietnamese Cross of Gallantry, everybody knew Lou Camacho. Lou was a brave, brave guy, Marine, Purple Heart, with a star, meaning he was wounded twice. They don't give out 2 Purple Hearts, but they add a star for the second wound. He also was a Bronze Star recipient with a V for valor, in other words, valor for his actions in combat against an enemy. Mr. Shepard, this gentleman doubled down. He was in North Africa. He got wounded. They wanted to send him home. He said, the hell with that. He went to the Rhineland and he got wounded again. The police station dedication to Channing MacDonald, unbelievable guy, fought in some of the most horrific battles of World War I, a Marine in the division where the name Devil Dog, which is associated for the Marine veterans, Jim over there would know, that came from their ferocity in fighting the Germans in World War I. And this guy also, talking about doubling down, this guy left the military after all those battles and went to work for the town of Winthrop as a police officer for many years, unarmed, a man with a shotgun, kept the heroism up, and unfortunately, he died from thrombosis, which was more likely from the mustard gas that the Germans were using in World War I. He died on duty as a Winthrop police officer. The street corners, just installing the flags, the Purple Heart, yeah, it's a big thing. You know, I appreciate all that stuff, but really, and I appreciate some of the accolades that people give me, but everybody needs to really understand that, you know, I wouldn't be in this job without him. He's the guy that hired me. He's the guy that put trust in me. He's a great guy to work for. He just basically said to me, he doesn't micromanage you. He just basically said, you know, Phil, you're a veteran, you know what to do. And he's a veteran also. Do your job, I want no surprises. How easy is that to work for somebody? You do your job, real easy. So he deserves a lot of credit. People don't understand how lucky we are to have him. And I don't think there's anything else, is there? Or is there? I don't know. That it? That works for me. All right, good night. Thank you very much. Oh.
Hold on. Suzanne, I'm coming over. Sorry. I'm just anticipating, sorry. I just figured you had it.
You've done a great job. And when I see you, even in the schools, when you're there, it was when I was on the school committee. Thank you so much for doing that, because I think when kids come up and say thank you for your service, that is really something great, because high school kids don't usually do that, and so I can see.
I'm their coach also.
Oh, I see. Okay. You have they have a little pressure there, but that's okay. It's really great what you do. How many veterans do we have?
We have approximately, give or take, about 680 veterans in the town.
Wow.
I know that's crazy, but this town has a wonderful record of service to our nation.
Yeah. How many do you think are unidentified? I know one. He happens to be my husband, but I don't think you have his.
When you say unidentified?
Yeah, unidentified as a veteran.
Well, they would have to, that's done through the town clerk.
Right. So.
That's up to them. I mean, I can't.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm just asking because they're.
I couldn't tell you, how many are unidentified, to be honest with you.
And can you tell me anything else that you think the town should be doing that we are not doing because we don't have the funding or we don't have the resources?
So I will tell you something I am going to do, but the town is completely getting clobbered with everything. The 3A.
We know.
The firehouse, which is absolutely needed. The override, which is absolutely needed. The HERO Act was put in on July 8th. Now, there's a provision in the HERO Act for service-connected disabled veterans. In other words, myself and others, you get a small reduction on your real estate tax. So there is a provision, and it's signed, and this act is in effect. At some point, I am going to, when all the dust settles with all of this, I mean, the town council and everybody, they're getting clobbered over all this other stuff. I don't need to put anything else on their plate. But what I am going to do is I'm going to approach them, and there's a provision that says that you could increase that amount. So the simplest way to do it is what the lawyers from the Executive Office of Veterans Service, they say. Instead of going every year and saying, all right, can we get $25 more taken off our real estate bill for an abatement? We can attach it, and it would probably be, it would be a one-time thing, and it would be the simplest thing to attach it to the to the cost of living. So you know how it just came out, Social Security is going to be 2.5, you would attach it that way. And the amount of money you're talking, most of the veterans that are disabled veterans get a $400 reduction on their property tax. The people that are 100% disabled, these guys are, or gals, are badly, badly injured, suffering from injuries, wounds, PTSD, whatever, they get 100%, they get an increased stipend. But the HERO Act allows each community to increase that small abatement on your real estate taxes to help out veterans. So that is one thing that I am going to do. The second thing I'm going to do is, most of the people at the American Legion are older than me. They're 77, 78, I'm 65. I'm going to be 66 Friday. We better beat Marblehead, I hope. Anyway, but, I'm going to try to engage my team, the soccer team, and Coach Cadigan's a great guy, the football team, and I'm going to try to get kids from the high school the week or two before Memorial Day, instead of having a bunch of old men stumbling around the graveyards, have the old men to help the kids and show them how the flags would be properly placed around the graves. This way we engage the youth a little bit so they understand that, you know what, all these people served the country, you know, many were killed in action, and the life they live and the freedoms they enjoy are a direct result of the sacrifices made by those people. So that's the plan for the spring. So, but other than that, you know, business as usual, just trying to help out as many people as I can. It's a great job, you know, so anyway.
Thanks, Phil. Anybody else for a question? All right, thanks, Phil. Great job. All right, thank you, folks. With that, this concludes our fall forum. I want to thank everybody for coming. Again, we've got another council meeting coming up in 2 weeks on October 29th. And keep on the calendar, the updated website and the calendar. We have all the meetings that are going on in town on that as well. And thank you for coming. I appreciate it. Have a good night.